See the show. Whoa, 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 whoa. Did you just see me? Come on, yo. Whoa, wait, hold on. I might not be everywhere. We're trying to get stuff synced up together for real. If you're listening to this coming out of your speaker, just wait one more minute. We're about to get freaking. And I mean, getting the whole thing started, ready to go. Because we're going on to this for multiple show platforms. Yo, it's about time about that thing about what we're about to do. So if you're seeing this come on, well, there's only one more thing I can say to you. I'm pretty sure if anyone's listening, you might have a clue of what I'm talking about too. Come on. So let's just go ahead and say it's this what we're gonna do. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's me, 3D, and today I'm hoping to change your perspective, just like usual. Although I will admit, today's perspective is a little bit more difficult, in my opinion, to actually, well, describe and explain. It's not very just upfront and simple like a lot of the other stuff. This one's a little bit more convoluted. So, you probably saw the episode title, you probably understand a little bit of what's about to happen. I am literally just getting the chat ready for you, so if you are on YouTube and you're seeing this, or you're seeing this anywhere and you want to be involved, jump onto YouTube. We're here live on the BTC Network DB. And there we go. Okay, so chat should be up and ready to go. I want to go ahead and thank the sponsor today, yo, because we have RoundlyX.com. That's right, RoundlyX.com. Great sponsor. If you go, you can actually, basically what you do is you get it, you sign up, and you put your card information with them. So every time you spend your card, you use that little card to go buy something, they're going to take the change of your purchase and round it up to the next dollar, helping you, handle your bills and makes everything a little bit easier to understand. You can just round everything up when you spend and you're good. But the other thing it does is it actually buys like little bits of crypto. It's DCAN every time you make a purchase. This is something I've been doing for years, where every time I make a purchase for myself, I kind of tax myself by buying a little bit of crypto. And this is a great way to do it. And if you guys go to roundlyx.com and use changes perspectives when you sign up, you'll get $15 in BTC for free. Now, I also have other services. I like their Ideal Bonus, which gives you information on which cryptos you might be interested in later or soon. And I actually use them as a great way to figure out which ones I want to, round up into, so to speak. So thank you, RoundlyX.com, for being a great sponsor, and let's go ahead and get today's show on the roll. Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you again, RoundlyX.com, for sponsoring this show and the Bitcoin Live Network. It's awesome to see you guys here, and it's a great service. I definitely recommend it. Again, use Changes Perspectives to get that $15 for free. And let's get going on what we're talking about today, because like I said, you said it, you saw it. What is this talking about exactly? I'm sure you're wondering, because we really do mean that, well, is features the reason for tech fail? Is features causing something with tech in some way, and are we being featured out of the tech? It's confusing. It's not just so simple to explain. So as tech becomes more functional, it gains more features, and as more features increase to meet all potential demands, the features ruin the tech. This is kind of what I'm saying. I know it's not perfectly correct, and there's potentially some parts of this that you could infer differently, but in some cases, additional updates to keep some of these unique features alive can actually kill your device, and that's probably more of what I'm talking about. Like, it's not always the features; it's sometimes some of the unique features or the number of features. That's where it's going to get convoluted, is how we consider what's a feature versus a function. So let's look at the features offered in tech and some of the problems that arise from the features that sells the device to us. And if that doesn't give you a little bit of a tip and hint of what we're talking about today, well, I don't know what else is going to help you, bro. So when we go through the day, you're going to see I'm going to drop QRs. This QR should take you absolutely nowhere, for example, but the next QR, and from this point on, it should take you somewhere. So if you want to follow along, we're either on the show, get your phone out, get ready, or, just jump on over to YouTube and say hello. So we're going to go first off. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about simply adverts. I want to just look at some adverts specifically, because this will help you understand front up what is a feature. Because it's pretty simple to explain what a function is. I think most people who you hear function, they're going to understand it. Feature, they think they're going to understand it. If we look here, we can see this is an affordable handheld cellular communications convenience device. Affordable handheld is a function. The cellular communication is a function. The convenience is a feature. CT300 lets you take calls whenever you're on the go. So take calls is the only function there. Everything else was either the product or a feature. Only 1.5 inch wide feature and 28 ounces feature for easy portability feature with 40 number memory feature, built-in rechargeable battery pack function, antenna function, carrying case feature, and strap feature. So really, the only functions in this advert is handheld. Well, actually, let me just rephrase that. Cellular communication device makes calls with rechargeable battery pack and antenna. I know a lot of people are going to complain. They're going to be like, no, no, no. Just hearing that, you're probably thinking, no, no, no. And I don't blame you. Some of these, you can't even read what some of these are. But if you really look at these adverts, what you're noticing is they are selling the features. That's kind of the best way to explain this. The function is very simple. The function of this NES is to entertain somebody. In other words, the function of the buttons should move the characters and perform some action when they press it. The function of the actual device should allow you to plug and play memory devices or cartridges in order to have something appear on the screen and interact with it. The functions is simple. The features is everything else. For example, the extra stuff they sell with the device. We can get an extra different kind of pad. We can get a different kind of controller for, younger kids or maybe adults. We can get carrying cases, boxes for our games. We can get an entire entertainment stand for it to hold the TV, holds the Nintendo. Actually, my dad had that. It actually had a little lock in there too, so you could lock it up. And that was probably the only feature I thought of the stand that was important, the lock. So we see very quickly we are being sold features. The functions are simple. Half the time the functions on these things don't even have to be said because you can just understand it from the visual. This is a calculator. From that point, if you've ever used a calculator or ever need to do calculations, you know what the functions are. You might not understand all the functions that it can do, but you know the functions. The features is literally everything else. Literally. That little K button, the little on-off switch. The fact that it's handheld. It's a feature. And see, that's the part that makes this difficult. How do you explain what a feature is? Well, there are some people that have been trying to figure it out. And this right here is, as it says it right there, it's a user experience by Jacob Nelson. It's a 100-year view of user experience, or UX. This is, here we kind of get a kind of proof that the need of user interface and user experience has only increased over the years. And this kind of explains it. And they have this really nice graph, which is what I wanted to bring up. It just kind of really shows it. The number of UX professionals in the world has gone from 10 since 1950, which was the first time they started recording these numbers. Now we're in the 2020s, and they're saying we should be in the millions, and they're not wrong. Actually, this graph is probably not even the most accurate, even though it was made in 2018. Yeah, it was made in 2018. Data that went from 1950 all the way up to 2017. So real data up to that point, and a calculated projection from 2018 and on. And it's still probably misaccurate, meaning this direct straight line is not directly straight and high enough. And we can see there were major growth rate changes. So one of the major points is you see 1950 to 1883. Something happened in 1983. I said 1883, so my bad. Something happened in 1983 that changed everything for UX. Which means UX is a feature. It started as a function, which it has one basic function, interface. But the experience and everything else that comes with it, we can start to say is features. So what we're really saying is user interface and user experience. One is a feature, one is a function. One is like a feature, one is like a function. So that there can also help us explain what a feature and a function is. A function is the thing that actually allows you to use whatever data you have. The feature is the things that allow you to interact with it differently, other than just using it. So, like I said, this is kind of convoluted in explaining, but we got a lot of information on technology itself over the years of through growth. So let's just kind of look at that. For example, all right, this is TV timeline, so to speak. So in 94, we see Bonjour Connected TV, the first patent for a connected TV is filed in France. 94, DirecTV becomes the first satellite TV system. 95, DVDs start taking over. And also in 95, creating the model for streaming videos existed by Victoria's Secret's fashion show is broadcasted online for the first time, reaching 2 million viewers. So in 97, it only gets bigger with 42-inch plasma TV starts selling 15 grand. In 99, the first DVRs were shipped to homes. 2005, YouTube launches. 06, Apple TV. 07, Netflix moves to DVD. Wait a minute, what happened after 95? From 94 to 95, it's innovative. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. From 94, it's connected. 94, it's a different type of connected. 95, it's a different type of connected. 95, it's a different type of connected. 97, it's the same kind of connected differently. 99, it's the same kind of connected differently. 2005, same kind of connected differently. 2006, same kind of connected. Nothing has actually been invented in the idealism of TV since 1995. Everything just keeps coming back. We already had streaming. The streaming, again, Hulu, that's still streaming. 2008, the first Roku device, that's still streaming. Fade to black, analog TVs go digital. Well, we already had digital systems and digital TVs. So what? Analog TVs stopped working completely. You got to have a digital converter. That doesn't make any difference because we already had digital converters when we were going to digital because of in 99 and 95 with the DVDs. In 2012, the TV usage is now connected to the internet. So what? We already had things connecting it to the internet. 2012, Felix brought Masters Jumps from the Edge of Space. That's actually kind of cool, but has nothing to do with TV, except for the fact that it broke the YouTube record for the most views on the live stream. Wait, they already did something like that in 95, though. So that doesn't actually make any difference. In 2012, cord cuttings are gaining traction. For the first time, there's a decline in households with TVs. That makes no difference because they have a different kind of screen called a cell phone in their hand. Moving online. So we were already online, though. We were already online in 95. When Victoria's Secret model streamed video for the first time online, reaching 2 million viewers. Huh. It's like nothing actually, here, to me, this was like the biggest point. This shows the difference between functions and features. All the functions stopped in 95. We only gained more features after that. For TVs. Well, maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe it's just TVs. Data storage. Surely. If it is a thing, it will happen more than one place. It's kind of the rules of the world. And by world, I mean everything. If it's going to happen, it'll happen more than once. And just not exactly the same. So, 1956, IBM ships first hard drive, 5 megabytes, the size of 2 refrigerators. 71, IBM produces the first floppy disk, stored 80 kilobytes read-only on a... Well, to be honest, it was like a little flimsy piece of negative paper. It's very confusing. In 1980, world's first 1 gigabyte hard drive. Again, size of a refrigerator, different type of technology to create those than the previous ones. 85, first CD-ROM, just storage. Although very similar to the actual hard drives at the time, they're just done differently. But still, different type of storage, because the protocols behind it were actually different. In 96, first DVDs, that's again a different type of storage. It's exactly the same as the CD, just we're doing it differently. So that's a feature. So the disc was a function, but it was a feature because we already had it before. We just put it in a new form. While the actual hard drive of 1980 of that time was a brand new type of technology for what was inside of it, and 1971 was a brand new technology for what was inside of it, and 1956 was a brand new technology for what was inside of it. So 96 is not anything new. It's the same technology done differently, can do more. Feature. 2001, USB. Same thing as this thing in 1980, but done differently. Feature. 2006, Amazon's Elastic Cloud. It's just another person's computer. It's the same thing as 1980, but done differently. Feature. 2007, first terabyte hard drive. It's the exact same technology used in the 1980 hard drive, which at the time was the brand new thing. Yeah, spinning platter disk. And that's a feature. 2011, 1.8 zettabytes, or 1.8 trillion gigabytes of data created in 2011. Well, that's a feature. It's just data storage. 2012, more data storage feature. 2013, more data storage feature. 2014, more data storage feature. 2018, more data storage feature. 2020, more data storage feature. Nothing new has happened in the form of data storage since 1980. And if you want to get really whatever, you could say 1985, but 1971 already had a spinning disk. It just wasn't hard. So they just took off the cassette of the disk and made the disk hard. Cool. Because we had hard disks before that from floppy disk, but they didn't include that in there. So obviously, let's try some other computing device. We looked at computers, we looked at things that ran computers, they all do the same thing. Obviously, oh, you know what? I don't think I gave you guys the right. Let me make sure I give you guys all these again. My bad. Alright, so here's that thing about UX, 100-year review study. Really good article, by the way. Here's this graph. Here's this graph. Now, video games. Now, this one I couldn't get from anywhere where it's actually readable. But if we go through and actually look at video game consoles, nothing new has happened since the first spinning platter console in the 80s. Yeah, I said that. There was one spinning disc console from like the early 80s. Nothing has changed since then because we just went back to that technology, and then we went back to just not using those at all, which would have been like the brown box, so to speak. And so if you go down and you say, what are the actual console firsts? Well, you see basically brown box, Amiga, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Wii. I can't read all the reasons why. First one was the fact that it actually allowed you to do things. The next one allowed you to swap materials. The next one actually was a disk drive. Yes, that little Amiga thing was a disk drive platter thingy. And then the PlayStation 2 actually developed DRM. And then the Wii developed a way to cross-pollinate information from old systems to new systems regarding DRM, keeping DRM, and allowing everything to work within the current DRM system. That doesn't sound like much, but it actually is a technical achievement, because it allows you to work backwards no matter what you're given. And that was insanely cool. So, yeah, I mean, we've actually had somewhat recent new things in functions, but really, it's just been features in video game consoles since day one. They would make one function and then give you a bunch of features. They make one function and give you a bunch of features. They make one function and give you a bunch of features. Think back into the games. How many games have you played where you could beat the entire game using like one action key, or you can just use one, like you can just punch everybody to death? Like, there are ways to beat games as dumb as possible. I've seen people beat Elden Ring without leveling, using the starting weapon and taking off all their armor. Because that is the only function of the game that they need. One base weapon, one base character, the game with an enemy, and those are the functions. So let's see one more time. Obviously, this has got to be a fluke, right? Computers, the systems that run the computers, as in like the machine and hardware and operating, not operating systems, we're not there yet. The hardware side, definitely we've seen it where they give us a couple of functions, a lot of features. Video games, TVs, same thing. Obviously, operating systems should be different, right? Alright? So let's look. a little bit we have. Here we have Microsoft versus Apple, side-by-side comparison, Windows 95 versus OS 7. Yeah, I mean, gosh darn. Seems pretty much the same, right? They both have basic primary functions. They allow you to access stuff, they have ways for you to sort things, and they have quick and easy ways for you to access stuff, which is more of a feature than a function. But at this point, we'll call it a function because it is a base point of the operating system. It means it doesn't have to be there, but it's a base point. C98, they added a bunch more features, but the function's still there. It's obviously more pretty, more beautiful, more graphical. Next round up, same exact functions exist. Same exact features exist. They just look different. Same exact functions, same exact features, they look different. Same exact functions, same exact features, they look different. Same exact functions, same exact features, they look different. The only thing here is we're getting more features, less functions. From this point on, from here on, there are no more new functions until we have internet, which is right here. Okay, we ran internet in 98. Believe it or not, 95 should have been able to use the internet, and these two should have internet access. So nothing new. I mean, if you want to go over here, because there was DSL available for these operating systems, sure. But nothing new since 98 in the form of operating systems. Actually, if anything, more of these operating systems after 98 are less preferred, except for like XP and maybe Snow Leopard. But everything after that is considered one of the most hateful operating systems for both sides of the argument on operating systems. So if you look at these different things that we're looking at, if you look back at TVs, if you're old enough to be able to look back at TVs, you'll see more frustration coming with more features in TVs and less function. Same thing with data. You have more frustration with your SD card than you ever had with your 3.5-inch floppy. Game consoles, you have more problems with your PS5 software than you ever had with your Nintendo hardware. You have more problems with your operating system just doing what the fuck you want than just any operating system of 95 and 98. So this brings me to this. Okay, so this was a lot of the source for some of this information about how to explain some of this. I kind of want to give you guys this source. I didn't know how to explain any of this, and I found this, and they were basically saying, well, let's look at the past. Let's look at what we had and what we have. Let's look at how happy we were and how unhappy we are now. Hey, bro, I see you in the chat, but I don't see you on the screen in the chat. I'm glad you're watching, though, also. Thank you. Super glad it's informative. Yeah, so I found this guy, and he's like, yeah, it is just looking into the past that makes the difference. If we can look backwards, and we can see what's going on, then we can determine the difference between a feature and a function. And I was like, oh, so that's how we can actually find the difference between a feature and a function. We look backwards and compare it to today. Yeah, I got your message up. Haha. Alright. It was just cut low for some reason. Or cut high. So if we go through here, we find a lot of the images I found a bunch more I was trying to use, but they just not big enough. I cannot get the full size. You can only get these thumbnail versions. And if you want to go through here and read everything that's going on, he even uses, like, The Sims as a really good reasoning and understanding. The Sims has used the same function, like, these top 10 games, okay? Top 10 games, okay? There's only, like, 3 games here? The Sims is one type of game with one main function set. Oh, thank you, Brosiv. And then Diablo is a different type of game with one main function set, completely different than The Sims. Half-Life 2 is a different game with the same function set as Diablo 3. Minecraft is the same function set as both Half-Life, Diablo, and Sims, plus its own, because it's combined, it is its own unique thing. Battlefield is just, again, Half-Life 2. Starfield is just Diablo. The Sims is just The Sims. Half-Life is just Half-Life. Guild Wars is just Diablo and Half-Life put together. So there's literally two games here, plus one being combination of. So, Minecraft. So, when you actually look at it like this, you look at the past, and then you look at what we have now, you'll see when we only had functions, we were way happier with everything. As we've gaining features, happiness has been declining. And I'm hoping I can prove that to you here in a minute. I just want to give you one more brief point of how things have changed and how we can see functions declining pretty quickly. Let's look at 2400 BC, calculator. 300 BC, binary numbering system. 600 AD, and Huron of Alexandria invents the machines which follow a series of instructions, a basic turning machine, or counter machine. I'm not sure which it is at that point. I'm going to say counter, because counter machine is basic instructions. Da Vinci depicts flying machines with the first mechanical calculator and one of the first programmable robots on the same paper. So then we have in 1942, the first Pascal invents the Pascal line mechanical adding machine. 82. So the mechanical adding machine is a direct point of the 1942 paper. So we got the calculator, we got a binary system which helps us calculate more. Then we developed a machine that can do stuff. Then someone idealized on how that could be done with more, when then someone actually did more with that, and then someone was able to basically make that more efficient. Someone built a more efficient coding system, Morse code. Someone then invented a better transmission system. Instead of it being word of mouth, it's now over the line. That's a function. So 2400 BC creates a function, 300 BC creates a function for a feature of a function. 860 AD creates a function, which is also a feature. 1942 doesn't actually create anything other than features. 1642 uses those features in a function. 1822 makes those functions more featuring by making it more efficient. 1835 makes that function feature now only a feature of a function feature. 1880, adding a telephone line is an actual function for features of a function, which is communication. 1985, radio signals invented. Well, that's not anything much more than the 300 BC stuff and the 1835 stuff over the 1880 stuff. That's all features. This guy's face, Adam Turing, created the first Turing machine. That's technically a function of features used for featuring functions. 1942 is so if we go through, as we go through, the more we go through, we're just going to be claiming more features of functions, because the functions are all made by this point. After 1924, there are no more functions invented. Everything's features. Now, I say that because he says 1937 develops the concept of theoretical computing. So I guess that's technically the last innovation. I should have read slightly further in that. 1937 is actually when Alan Turing created that theoretical concept, which was the last function. And the only thing that really was just taking a feature of a function and making it more of a function than a feature. This is why it's confusing. All throughout time, technology is a couple of functions with a whole lot of features. And I'm not the only person that said this. I'm not the only person that believes this. And unfortunately, there's histories of this. 3.3 million years ago, the first tools. 1 million years ago, fire. Up to 1500 years ago, Neolithic Revolution. Irrigation, sailing, iron, gunpowder, windmill, compass, mechanical clock, printing, steam engine, railways, steamboat, photography, reaper. Like, really? Yeah, mechanical reaper. I can't believe that's actually. Telegram, telephone, which are the same damn thing. Intercombustion engine, electric light, automobile, same damn thing as the engine, so to speak. Radio, already had it. Airplane, yeah, okay, sure. Rocketry, different airplane. Television, different kind of communication device. Computer, different kind of communication device. Nuclear power, different kind of power system. Transistor, different kind of thing we already had. Space flight, thing we already had, just a different spot. Personal computer, something we already had, but now made easier to use and made. So we can start seeing very quickly, these are supposed to be all the functions of technology, and these very quickly start turning into features of functions in their own right, according to Britannica. These are the historical technological timelines. So these are all technical functions, even though we get to a point where they're no longer functions. They feel like it, but they're not. And that's the other part. Some features feel like functions, but they're not. How can we explain it? Well, there's this really extensive study that you can read that I still say doesn't even explain it all. It's only 15 pages long, which is kind of nice. I'm not going to go through it, but I'm going to offer it for you if you want to really learn. Again, I don't think this is complete, and it kind of also gets to a point where you get to a point in time where we have not created anything new. Nanotechnology was the last new thing we invented in 2010. Was the 4th generation of nanotechnology. So keep that in mind. In 2010, we had the 4th generation of nanotechnology. So how do we have anything new? And that is a new function? No, it's a new feature. It's the same function. Robot. So there have been tons of people trying to explain this, trying to help everyone understand, because it's not easy to understand. And I wish it was. I wish I could just simply go point A and point B, boom, we're done. So let's look at what some of the professionals, the people who are more intelligent than I am, for example, like Ben Schneiderman, a professor at the University of Maryland College. And these are not going to be all direct quotes, so please do not think they are. Please come back and read this so you can find out which ones are direct quotes versus non-direct quotes. The number of people who can use computing increases dramatically. At first, programming languages were the medium of communication between man and machine. It was a function. Fortran, the breakthrough computing language, was designed to resemble the algebraic formulas familiar to scientists and engineers. It was features of functions. Resembly enough, since they were the only people anyone could imagine using the relative handful of giant calculating machines back then, they were kind of stuck with it. So today, billions of people roam the internet, from computer phones they hold in their hands. Dramatic advances in hardware, of course, are a big part of explanation, notably the flywheel of technology demised, known as Moore's Law, celebrating the chip industry ability to double computing power every couple of years. There's a debate about whether the pace is tailing off, but that's another story. I think human-computer interaction designs have had as much impact as Moore's Law in bringing the web and mobile devices to the world. So again, he says, I think human-computer interactions designs have had as much impact as Moore's Law has had in bringing the web and mobile devices to the world. So let's continue. Try to raise the profile of prominent people in the field. Mr. Shiner last week published a website for which he calls the Human Computer Interaction Pioneers Project, which I checked it out and it was absolute crap. It's just like a bunch of pictures of the people who are agreeing to be a part of this project. And then you can go buy the book or whatever. It's not very great. But anyways, he calls the Human Computer Interaction Pioneering Project. This is a personal project for him, who founded Maryland's Human Computer Interaction Laboratory in 1983. So in 1983, this guy invented or came up with the idea that humans and computers interact. So he created a laboratory to test this. And the web page for each of his pioneers includes a brief text description of the photographs. Basically, you can go through that website and try to find more information, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they took it down. Something really important from here, which I thought was strange, it's the freaking end. The goal of tomorrow's software, he suggests, will be less on features on a website or smartphone and more on design that encourages better outcomes for individuals and society. The future lies in the social designs. Designed to encourage trust, empathy, and responsibility while protecting privacy is the next big thing. And so he believed this to be true as in the future. And this was published in 2015, and I don't know if this was a statement made around that time frame or if it's the statement that was originally made during the original interview in 1983 or 1980s. I don't remember the actual year. So somewhere between 1980 and 2015, he thought that features would be these social designs to help us. That's what he really thought. So let's get down to it. Let's go software engineering. This is a software engineering website. Make sure I get you guys all these links. I want you guys to have all the tools you need, because what, according to software engineers, this has been a long-term argument. I often hear PMs or project managers talk about features and function, and I'm just puzzled to differentiate them. Sometimes I think a feature to be equivalent to a user story. Sometimes, and then he says, what's he say? And then function, on the other hand, sometimes gets as small as a task. My question is, how can we differentiate feature from function? One person, which 42 people said it's the best answer. Features are what salespeople sell. Functions are what programmers develop. I can guarantee you that's not completely true. Features are what people sell. But there are many things that programmers develop that are sold because they are features. I found this answer, which I believe to be also very correct. Features are what your program can do. Features are a direct result of the user requirements and business objectives. Thus, a program's features exist mainly to meet user demands. Functionality, on the other hand, is how the aforementioned features are actually implemented. In other words, a function is how the features are able to do their job. The features are all the other things done on top of that. Now, I think that's the best example and best explanation of a function and a feature. If we look at features are what people sell, and we also look at features are what the thing does, other than the base thing of it. The computer computes. The operating system is the feature of the computing computer's functions. So, there's been other places. Like I said, I'm not the only person that really thinks that features cause more problems than they solve. We're being featured out of technology. Some said that technology causes more problems than it solves. I just said that. Some said it is likely that emerging worries over the impact of digital life will be at least somewhat mitigated as humans adapt, but it wasn't made it worse. Some said it is possible that any remedies may create a new set of challenges, and they also forgot that it is its own challenge. And others said humans' uses and abuses of digital technologies are causing societal harms and are not likely to be overcome. Now, I think that's absolutely very understanding and direct. And if we look at when this was, published, 2020, this was right in the middle of people understanding that all these features were simply so others could abuse that against others. Let's go through some people. Here is a bunch of people, really smart people, who have some kind of big spot or long time cut in the technology world. Let's see what they have to say. Larry Manster, internet pioneer, formerly with Adobe, AT&T Labs, and Xerox PARC. Yeah. He also helped create the internet standards with IETF and W3C. Technology and social innovation intend to overcome the negatives of the digital age will likely cause additional negative consequences. Examples include the decentralized web, and encryption, AI, and machine learning, social media. I mean, he's wrong and he's not wrong. It's like the Doctor Who right here. Man can be so on the point and off the point. The thing here is AI, machine learning, and social media are really bad. I mean, machine learning can be really good if you're using it for like encryptions and decentralized webs and things like that, but I mean, AI with it, bad. James Makins, Associate Professor of Computer Science at Harvard, formerly with Microsoft, said, technology will obviously result in civic innovation. The real question is whether innovation will result in better social outcomes. For example, the gig economy is enabled by technology. Technology finds buyers for workers and their services. However, given the choice between an economy with many gig workers and an economy with an equivalent number of traditional middle-class jobs, I think that most people would prefer the latter. He means, yeah, believe it or not, gig economy has kind of hurt everybody. People who do gig work make less money. People who are hiring gig work pay more money. So the company in between makes the most money. And if it was the latter, then you would be your own boss and you wouldn't have to worry about that company taking any of your money. And you would just have to worry about taxes, which you have to worry about anyways as the gig worker. Not always as the gig owner. Michael Ansberg, Chair ABA, Information Security Committee, wrote, misappropriation of limits and genesis of e.g., AI machine learning will produce widely disparate results in development of rich innovations. Some will be dramatically beneficial, some may enable abuse of law enforcement, economic systems, and other fundamental civic institutions will lead to exploration of gaps between tech controllers, users, and underserved and under or misskilled populations, so a digital divide, and what may be a significant embedded limitations on career, economic advancements, or even life-threatening de facto healthcare or health-producing rationing manner. Yeah, basically this says technology can very quickly be used to make our people stupid in order for something else to take us over. And AI is that thing to make us dumb. Actually, internet made us dumb and made some of us smart, but yeah, AI definitely will make us dumb. We will use technology. Okay, so Peter Lundfield, professor of design and media arts, someone who understands the UX and UI, said, he also wrote the book Tales of the Computer and the Culture Machine. So I mean, he really understands this, right? We will use technology to solve the problems the use of technology creates. But the new fixes will bring new issues. Every design solution creates a new design problem, and so it is with the ways we have built our global networks. Highly technological societies have to be made, and if they hope to compete, I think the societies that I have experienced democracy will move to curb the slide to authoritarianism that social media has accelerated. Those curbs will bring out their own unintended consequences. And the cycle will start anew. And he's not wrong. We've actually been seeing this. We are seeing even democracies, the USA, going to socialism, which is a form of authoritarianism, simply because of higher technology allowances might save a couple of lives but kill all the others. So I'm just saying, there's other really technical people that think similar. And if we look at these different people, the person involved in creating the web standard seemed to know the least amount of information, but was on the nose of the problems. The person who taught people how to build the things that were built and actually worked at Microsoft seemed to not know anything of the technology, but did understand that people are not going to prefer the outcomes of the technology. Well, I guess he did get that fact that technology does create problems here. He understood that. He kind of understood that, but he didn't get that technology was the full front problem. He just understood there would be a reason for the problem. This person, the ABA Information Security Committee person, security is the thing they understand, and you can tell very quickly they know that it's going to be used against us because that's what their job is to do, to protect us from people doing that, and they understand that's the biggest issue that we have here. But then the person who actually deals with UX and UI, person who spent their life becoming a professor of it, understands the best that we will cause more problems with technology that technology solves, and every design solution only creates more design problems, and we have built our entire global network around that setup, so we are just doomed to be in this constant loop of this doesn't work, now it works, now it don't, and now it does, and now it don't, and now it does, forever. And governments, to try to stop that loop, will change what the loop is, and it will go from you have freedom to you don't have freedom to you have freedom to you don't have freedom, you have freedom, you don't have freedom, in order to prevent you from having problems with your technology. Alright, I said it a couple times, We are less happy in computers. We are less happy with systems nowadays, and I blame it on the features. I completely blame it on the features. When computer efficiency send you running for cover. So here is an entire article on basically, historical glitches, problems when things went rogue, and this just, if anything, allows you to see there have been lots of major issues because of technology. I mean, computerization of the order flow of the financial markets began in 1970. In 2012, when Knight Capital, a firm specialized in executing trades for a retail broker, reported 440 million loss in crash losses due to a faulty test of new trading software, because software just didn't work right. How come it worked always right in 1970 but not in 2012? Because quality went down because you need to get stuff out faster. Because more people are okay with technology and then you feel like you need to do more testing. And then Thomas Edison in New York on August 14th. Oh, wait, if Thomas Edison was in New York on August 14th, he would have been horrified. Bullshit. 55 million people. So, on August 14th, 2003, 55 million people were affected on the northeastern United States and Ontario, Canada, when a blackout, one of the biggest significant in history, happened. This place was even more on the systems that created a cascading effect that eventually took out 20% of the normal output. So Ohio went offline due to a usage which put the rest of the power network under great stress. From there, when the computer works overtime, the hardware and the power lines heated up, expanding to begin hanging lower, catching on trees, causing problems, and then just boom, 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 boom. So what's interesting here is the role of the central control alarm system played in the situation. Similar to your home security system, its purpose to let you know what's going on, and it failed because of a blackout. Cool. And we just go through this whole list, you'll see some of the world's biggest issues are only caused because of technology. Something we didn't have problems with before, only because we do now because of technology. So, sure, you don't have to believe me. Let's go to an electronic engineer's journal. 20-year-old journal. You need an EV blog, but still really good. So, if we go through here, we can actually see they have found out proof that computers nowadays are actually slower than they used to be. And it's being measured in something called latency. We actually have more latency than we ever had before. I actually remember playing the PlayStation and playing like Dreamcast, and I was always like, why does one of these feel slower than the other? But their processors are damn near the same. Latency ended up being the thing. And if you go through it, you find out we have about 2.5 times more latency than ever before. Or like, I don't remember. It's just, the latency has only gotten worse. 2 milliseconds of differential visual latency. The problem here is that the more use we get to computers and stuff going fast, the easier it is for us to see latency. But that's not exactly the problem. It's one of the problems. It's hard to prove that. Latency is proving computers are slower, because our ability to work with them are slower, interacting with them are technically slower. I mean, the computer is faster, but everything else is slower. Latency shows that. Well, what's one way to prove that? Well, if newer computers were actually better, retro computing would die, like it did once. A lot of people don't realize that. Retro computing died once. Like, 99. It died. Between 98 and 2004, computers were the best they had ever been. So now, why is everyone going back to the computers of 98 and before? This doesn't really explain much other than just shows some proofs, and if you want to click on them, of that retro computing actually is more popular now in 2021 than it was in ever. And so, okay, why? Well, it's because it's actually faster. People are realizing people can use the other one and feel like they're getting faster results in some stuff. We don't have to spend half an hour fucking with settings in order to then do something. They can just go do the something. People are realizing not having internet-connected devices makes it simpler and faster, because it's all about the complexity. that makes it difficult, which also makes this a difficult discussion. Because I originally told you we're being featured at a tech, and all I've done is shown you that the features is all we have, and it's made the tech slower. So let's keep going. We don't got a lot of time. Federal judge hints that big tech companies may have to actually face customer allegations of mental health harm. If this does anything, this will show you that newer technology like cell phones and social media are purposely being designed to harm us. And federal judges in America are starting to agree with these. There's a person in this argument, so there's big debate going on in the courtroom, so to speak, where over 200 individual cases are being sought against these companies, where plaintiffs allege that vast harms are being done to children from algorithmic rabbit holes, image filters that encourage eating disorders, and limitless content feeds. So the person also expressed skepticism in response to the claims by the industry lawyers that the tech companies have no legal obligation because of Section 230. Gonzalez Rogers criticized the consumer plaintiffs for making a disorganized grab bag of allegations and faulted them for appearing to make numerous complaints about the content that appears on social media platforms as opposed to focusing on the design decisions that serve as the content to the user. So with this lawyer saying, look, all you were going is you're saying, well, we are not responsible for the content, but it's not the content we're complaining about. It's the actual design and features of the software that we're complaining about. And Gonzalez also pointed out, being the person fighting for the people, that the other people that were fighting for the tech companies lawyers' billing fees for that one day exceeded this lawyer who is fighting for the people's entire annual salary. I always wanted to point that out. It means something to some people. So, one of the things tech companies are going to say, some of the most annoying features, you can actually get turned off. Sure. Some of the most annoying features you can turn off. But will they stay off? No. You have to keep turning them off. And can you turn them all off? No. Some of them you have to stick with. So how are these ruining your phone? Well, here's a site that actually, if you want to get more information on it, you can. It takes a couple more jumps to get to the actual source of this information, but it's there. There's a bunch of infected apps from Google Play. Tons of them. Ignore that ad. Surprising apps responsible for bad performance and battery drains. Some of the ones that we're looking at are like Snapchat, Netflix, Amazon Shopping, Outlook Express. Seriously, just your email. So if you can't see that everything that you want to do with your device is destroying your device because not of what you actually want to do, but because something in the software. So let's look at the factors of what actually informs on performance of a phone. I'm using phones as the big thing here because phones and TV are kind of the same thing in a lot of regards, and we can see a lot of the same things done in both spots. We already looked at the TVs earlier. We saw that got to a point where we didn't need any more functions. We just got features which actually made things whatever. So let's look at the features that ruin our phone. Let's look at the things that ruin our phone. The processor, sure. Eventually, slowly, the processor loses speed. Understood. But it's also designed to only do certain things. Keep that in mind. RAM, the memory. It also dies eventually. It doesn't last forever. Storage type. The type of storage you use can actually depend on the ability to last longer. Like a spinning platter disk lasts longer than a solid-state drive. Optimization of software. So how your software is optimized for like your CPU, your memory, and what kind of storage you're using will make a difference in speed, latency, and the ability of what you're doing. So if your new ass software is designed for something that you don't even have because you have a 1-year-old computer and everybody only designs for the newest stuff, then you're going to have a worse experience with that same software. Unless you just upgraded your system for what it was designed for. Graphics processing units, another thing that software has to be optimized for. Battery performance, something that most people don't even consider when they're building software, so it tends to kill the batteries fast. Network speeds. If you're constantly having to check network to see if you're getting your response, you're going to kill your stuff, so it's going to make stuff slower. Software upgrades, regularly upgrading stuff actually makes it slower. Thermal magnetism. Yep. How hot or cold your phone is will depend on how fast or slow it is. Background processes. Same thing. The more your phone is doing in the background, the less it can do in the foreground. The way the app is designed, again, it comes down to UX, UI, and optimization of software. Bloatware, that's just software that you can't get rid of. User behavior, that's you not knowing how to use the thing you have because you didn't invent it. Storage space, how much extra storage space you have actually depends if you can go faster or not. The more storage space you have, the more fast you can go. Cache management, if your physical system is not designed to handle what you physically have, you can't physically go fast. And again, your software has to be designed to handle that as well. You don't have to believe me. Here are the top three reasons for bad phone performance. And I think this is a really important one to get to, simply because it's going to show you very quickly the problems. Bloated apps you can't get rid of. Background apps they're running while you don't want them to, or doing something in the background. Operating system updates and upgrades, adding in more features. Those are the top three that kill phone. This also kills, everything else. Now, I want to give you this actual link to this actual website. I can't actually go there. It's another site I am banned from. Gosh, I am banned from too many websites. But I have access to their database. I mean, just because I'm banned from the server, I can't access the server. So, here's what we got. And I just downloaded the PDF. So if we go through here, you guys can actually go through it. This is the reason why they want me here, okay? Manufacturers like Samsung, if you go to the thing, you can actually click the link. I can't, it shows up, but it won't work. The people have actually been able to, Samsung got in trouble for this. Samsung got pointed out for this. Korean data miners and performance hounds discovered in 2022 that Samsung throttled more than 10,000 apps, made more than 10,000 apps slower just because they didn't want you using them. Top reason apps are throttled. Top reasons. Why are they slowed down? Because they are considered either cool or uncool. If it's considered uncool, it's slowed down. They don't want to spend as much money or resources on an uncool product. They also don't want to spend anything on anything that's demanding. So if you build an app that's demanding, your app will be throttled. If you don't pay the manufacturers of your devices for you to be considered bloatware, it will be throttled. And some bloatware is throttled. To save on battery life is another reason why they might do it. If they see your device is taking up a lot of battery life, it will be throttled. Prioritize more important functions. But one thing they didn't say, also they prioritize more important features. You'll be throttled. Cheat on a bitmark test. If they find any cheat anywhere in paperwork that's ever been put through, or if they do benchmark tests and they see too much of a variation between benchmark tests, you'll be throttled. Inflate the value of an annual upgrade. Make the annual upgrade force you to upgrade. Let me just put it that way. Force you to upgrade. They will throttle your freaking apps to make you change devices. Because they can throttle your apps on one device, but not another. What's CPU throttling? Whoa, you telling me they can throttle the CPU on certain devices too? Yeah. Throttling is here to stay. They found out throttling anything and everything will get you to spend more money. And therefore, they will do it on purpose. And Samsung got caught for doing it. Samsung, I believe, got in trouble by Korea. But, they're not going to actually get in trouble by the North Korean spies because North Korea ain't going to take them to international court. So I want to point something out. It's very, very confusing. Android has been around since 2008. So it's not a device issue. The number one most used operating system in the world, Android. And it's a freedom. It is a free and open source software, but it is licensed under Apache. It is made by Google. It is designed as a feature of an operating system, around the whole fact that it is a feature. This isn't a device problem. This is a feature problem. And I don't think I can say a whole lot more than that. When we spent the past month or two on the show just showing proofs of why we need to take control of financial responsibilities, our money, like cryptocurrency, our data, our devices, and unfortunately, it's hard to show you some of the abstract thoughts that we are trying or we are throwing around today. Google made Android simply to eventually take over your phone. And Google didn't actually make Android. Someone else did. Google just took it over. So, I was hoping that showing how to take your own control of everything, of these individual, perhaps even self-sovereign stuff you need to become self-sovereign. I was hoping if I could show you these different things, you'd be able to do it. You'd be able to take control. It's a lot easier to just see every smart device you buy and understand it's just rigged against you, and then do it immediately after you get it to make it not rigged against you. Because if you're just going to sit there and trust things, you're always going to get rigged. You're going to get screwed, and you're never going to see it. You won't understand it. Because every device you buy is designed to fail. You'll just be buying the next one before you have a chance to realize it. Everything is not allowed to last according to its own makers, like Samsung and Google, the people of Android. The number two people of Android, Google and Samsung, are the two main players of creating these Android devices. And everything is not allowed to last according to them, not the people who own the devices. This doesn't mean we can't still own our devices, our makers. It's our makers, not our owners. It's hard to explain. It's like you buy the device, you are the owner. You should have control over it, and you should be able to get control of it. I mean, this doesn't mean we still can't own them. We just have to understand it a little bit more. We have to just not rely on our devices and technologies to just work. We can't just rely on it to work like we had in the past. We actually have to push ourselves to have what we want to have. If we want to have sovereignty with technology, we have to become the masters of the tech we use. Look around yourself and see how many technologies are still existing that the older ones from before the year 2000 still exist. Lights, TVs, VCRs, films, radios, cars, dishwashers, stoves, microwaves, the list goes on and on of technology before the year 2000 that's still working to this day. There are towns and cities refusing to replace certain electronics and devices and things in their town because it's older than the year 2000. And they know it will last forever in some cases. Just look around you. How come you don't see technology older than 6 years old being used? I just showed you, Android was made and was released in '08 with the first Android device. '08. How come we don't see anything older than 6 years old being used? I can take that 2008 HTC Dream and it still works like a dream. I can still take an HTC Flip, which had Windows Mobile XP, and it works perfectly. But I can't grab a cell phone that's less than 6 years old and older than 4 years old and it fucking work. Or get a cell phone older than 6 years but less than 8 years old and it fucking work. It's not coincidental that technology today can't last more than an average of 6 years old. I'm using cell phones as the average point, but if you look at all technology, 6 years is your average since the year 2000. But almost all technology before the year 2000 is still going strong 20 or more years later. Even Windows XP, people still refuse to get rid of it because it works better than Windows 10. Windows 10, people refuse to get rid of it because it works better than Windows 11. And it's hard to see. You don't really have to trust me. I don't want you to trust me. I want you to look around. I want you to pay attention. I want you to see, because all I can do is explain. It takes you to see.